Canaan Partners was founded in 1987 as a spin-out from GE Ventures and remains one of the most diversified funds that invests in tech. The venture firm is the first and one of the only firms with 3 female general partners. 40% of the investment team overall is female. 47% of the investment team is immigrant or first-generation American. All impressive. But what stands out the most is that 25% of Canaan's portfolio is founded or led by a woman. That's compared to the industry average. Women-led companies get just 2% of venture capital funding. I sat down with Maha, Ibrahim, and Nina Kjellson of Canaan Partners and asked how they might describe the issues regarding gender in venture capital. Take a listen.
So in the last few years, there has been a race for people to hire women, for firms to hire women. And they've done that at senior roles, they've done that at junior roles, largely in response to public outcries and pressure. Over the next couple of years, what really is going to be the true test is how many of those women stay. How our industry retains those women, helps them be successful, really integrates them into the fabric of venture capital and entrepreneurship. So I think we're at a good time right now. I'm optimistic for the future, but it just means that we're going. I take responsibility, and I know that many other female GPs take responsibility in making sure that those women are given every opportunity to succeed.
Canaan is unique in that there are not 1, not 2, but 3 women investing partners, and 40% of the investing team is women. Mm-hmm. How do other firms get there?
Well, I don't think Canaan is diverse by design. I got to think a lot about this as I decided to join the firm 2 years ago and do a lot of homework about what is Canaan really doing right and what is the recipe. I think there are a lot of underpinnings to the culture and the governance and how the firm is run that invite diversity as opposed to necessarily a deliberate quota or setting out to add women. And as I said many times in different contexts, I think diversity begets diversity. So the fact that from fairly early on there was a woman at the head of the table, or at least at the table and then increasingly at the head of the table, which is Maha's seat, it became so much more inviting for the next woman to join and the next woman after that. It's a very virtuous, positive cycle. All without a fixation on this, because the fixation is about excellence and performance and being the absolute best that we can be at venture capital. And we just feel that it takes a diverse group to achieve that.
Maha, you were the first woman investing
Yes.
partner at Canaan,
Yes.
and you now have, as Nina said, a seat at the head of the table.
Thankfully.
Literally the head of the table.
Not that. I'm not thankful for that, but yes, yes.
What was it like being the first woman to join an all-male firm?
I was probably too young to realize the impacts of it. I was there for myself, and I was there to prove myself and really understand the industry. To Nina's point, diversity does beget diversity. It just so happened that I was very fortunate to be in a firm that highlighted it and was okay with it and made it a non-issue. And from there, I hired people, and I wanted to hire people who had diverse backgrounds, because I'm a first-generation immigrant, I'm a female, and it just so happens that I've hired a lot of people who are first-generation immigrants and or female.
Talk to me about how, the portfolio at Canaan simply looks different than other portfolios.
Well, strictly speaking, in terms of numbers, I mean, we're not there yet. 25% of our companies are female-founded or female-run, which isn't parity, but it's a lot better than the 7 or 8% statistic for the industry as a whole. But I think one of the things that happens inside Canaan in the investing partnership, as well as entrepreneurs when they approach us, is the pattern matching of a female entrepreneur or a female executive is no longer sizing her up. Is she like my sister, like my mother, like my wife, like my daughter? But is she like the other entrepreneurs in our portfolio? We feel that internally around the table as investors, that it's so normative that there's a diverse group around the table, as opposed to trying to find that token example or reference point.
Are you seeing change?
The good news is that now we've never had more pressure to have those activities take hold. So there are venture firms and the NVCA, of which I'm on the board, that are trying to establish norms, that are trying to establish public behavioral settings to which the conversation with the entrepreneur doesn't have to veer into the sexual realm or the ultra-personal realm. They're doing it via pledges, they're doing it via diversity training, a lot of means. We're still not there. We need to be there. In addition to that, there are some firms that are locking into term sheets the requirement that companies, their portfolio companies, have training and have harassment policies internally so that it's not happening, or it's minimizing the chance that it happens in the portfolio companies.
While you're here, I want to talk about your exciting portfolios. And Nina, you are focused on the biotech space, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there. You know, what are the trends that you're most excited about going forward this year?
There's a lot it's been an incredible, sustained sort of bull market for biotech. It's been an unprecedented period of great science. I think one of the things that we are really excited about at Canaan is we're company founders, company starters, early builders, and there's been so much translational science coming from the laboratory and academia into small companies, and the funding and the risk appetite among all the constituents, whether it's pharma as acquirers or partners, the capital markets, public investors, and venture to support that.
And Maha, your portfolio is unique in that you focus on consumer and enterprise throughout your career, which is very broad. So, you know, where are you focused right now?
So right now I'm focused more on the consumer side, but let me explain why. So on the consumer side and on the enterprise, for the last several years, we haven't seen that tsunami foundational change that we did, say, 10 years ago with the consumer, with mobile, that obviously brought in companies like Uber and Airbnb, et cetera. And then on the same side, on enterprise, we've seen really the infiltration of open source depress price points considerably. And you haven't seen the foundational change like you saw with virtualization. So I'd say that both sides of the house are experiencing headwinds right now. So where we're looking, where I'm focusing, are certain pockets within consumer and within enterprise. So for instance, I just invested in a yet to be announced esports company. Esports is incredibly large and fast growing, both in the United States and overseas, that I'm excited about. At Canaan, though, we're also looking at these two areas and looking beyond them because, again, we're looking for tsunamis of transitional change. So you're seeing us invest in areas like space, like robotics, like quantum computing, ones that we've historically had actually a really deep background in, but are coming back now with the advent of artificial intelligence.
That was Maha Ibrahim and Nina Kjellson of the venture capital firm Canaan Partners. I interviewed both of them for my new book, Brotopia, Breaking Up the Boys Club of Silicon Valley, out this week.